so glad to meet you today with a very, very common topic, and this is called the steadfast love of the Lord. And we all are very familiar with this topic, and it needs no further elaboration around this. But there is a constant need for reiteration of certain words like these, because everybody needs love, and everybody needs a love that is constant. And there is our God who assures us of his steadfast love. Now this word, when I looked it up, as I was led in the Spirit, when I looked it up, in the Hebrew language, this means Hesed, H-E-S-E-D, which means something that is unwavering, very firm, continuous. That's what it means. So Hesed means steadfast love. Lamentations 3 verse 21 to 23 talks about the steadfast love of God. So Lamentations 3 verse 21 says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceaseth, and his mercies never come to an end." Steadfast love, which is unending, never ceases, and his mercies that never comes to an end, that is unending. Love is followed by mercy. Never ceaseth, unending, both qualities of God, love and mercy. So there are two criteria that I want to open up our hearts to this morning. So when do we succumb to this steadfast love? Love is available. Love is the trait of God. And we see the perfect epitome of God's love in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. But how do we approach this love? My dear friends, there was an eye-opener for me from Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 9. The word says this, and I'm just going to read that for you. "Know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant, and steadfast love with those who love him, and keeps his commandments to 1,000 generations." Now there is a criteria. Steadfast love to those who love him. So one criteria to go and plunge, deep dive into the steadfast love of the Lord, or to acquire, to become a ready vessel of God's love, is to love God. So the first thing is, and steadfast love with those who love him. So we are supposed to love him in order to go into the possession of his faithfulness. The faithful God who keeps covenant, and steadfast love with those who love him. That is the number one criteria. Number two criteria is where the psalm tells us in Psalms chapter 33. Here it talks to us about how this love is made available for us. So it says that when we put our hope in God, this Psalms chapter 33 verse 22, "Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you." So his steadfast love upon us when we hope in him. So two things. When we love God, we experience a steadfast love. In Psalms chapter 33 verse 22 it says, "Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you." So when we hope in God, we experience a steadfast love. My dear friends, and it also says in Deuteronomy, when we remember that he's a faithful God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him. So when we love him, because of his faithfulness, we experience a steadfast love. So did you notice I said three things? Love, faith, and hope. These three things, and the greatest of these is love. Ours is love for God, and God's is steadfast love for us. Amen.